At the foot of the picturesque Moddershall Valley in Staffordshire is the historic town of Stone. Not far from the Victorian town centre, sheltered by the railway embankment, is a pocket of older buildings dating from the 18th century. Most visitors to this spot head for the restaurant and the restored corn mill. But for Alan Appleby and his wife Dora, it was the dilapidated old flint mill next door that caught their eye. Alan is a professional building surveyor who's also a seasoned restorer. He and Dora have already restored and lived in 3 listed properties. They both have family connections in Stone, and now that their children have grown up and left home, they're keen to settle here and throw themselves into one final project.
Dora and I were out looking for property, and we drove down through the railway bridge, and this poor old building was sitting here, covered in ivy and cracks. I turned to her and I said, we could do something with that.
This one is special to me because it's never been a home, so it's going to be quite different.
It's exciting to me as a surveyor and a serial renovator of buildings that I think, whoa, this is a good one. And we've got one left in us.
They paid £100,000 for the Grade 2 listed mill, bought with their savings. They've estimated the work will take a year and have a budget of £175,000, which will be financed by the sale of their current home. They then plan to rent locally until the mill is complete.
The one I've got to be really, really careful about is the money. Everything can be solved with another wad of cash, and we haven't got endless wads of cash.
However experienced they are, it's still easy to run into trouble on a difficult project like this. So I hope I can lend a helping hand.
Morning!
Morning,
Good to see you, Alan.
Nice
How are
to
you?
see you.
Hi, Dora. How are you?
George,
You
I'm
well?
fine, thank you. Yes.
It's amazing this. Like, other side of that railway bridge, you feel like you're in 21st century commercial supermarket land. And then as soon as you come through the archway, you've gone back in time. It's like a little hidden world.
Absolutely.
It is.
Absolutely. And this particular piece of land has been kept in private ownership for many, many years, so it's just never got redeveloped. And that's how it's ended up with this strange little nook right so close to the town centre.
Should we just step back and have
Yeah,
a look
sure.
at it so you can see the scale of what you've taken on here, because it's knackered, isn't it?
It has some issues. Okay.
You've got enormous crack. I mean, there's cracks everywhere, to be honest, but that is a big old chunky one. I mean, that crack's got to be 2 inches wide at that top part,
George,
all the
you
way
fret
down that
too
bit.
much. You worry too much.
But it's quite ambitious, isn't it? Really? When you,
Seriously.
I mean,
Yeah,
it is
it
a
is.
wreck. I'd love to know what your surveyor's report said. I'd love to know that.
I just,
You didn't bother, did you?
no.
You didn't do one. It's so knackered, it wasn't worth doing a survey.
It all comes from here. It all comes from here. It's the gut feeling.
In its current state, the mill is a shadow of its former self. The wheel has gone and the channel of water that once fed it was filled in long ago. But when it was up and running, the stream would have poured down onto a huge wooden water wheel. This generated the energy to power 15 tons of machinery that ground flint into a fine powder. All that has gone too, and the mill is now one huge open space with a footprint of 400 square feet.
Oh, this is great. It's quite deceiving, because from the outside I thought it felt like quite a small building. But when you come into it and you look up, this is an enormous volume, isn't it?
Cavernous sort of space, isn't it?
Very high.
So what do you know about the building?
It seems, from what we can work out, it was purpose-built as a flint grinding mill, producing powdered flint for the potteries industry. And if you look carefully up into the walls there, you can see that there are arcs cut into the sides of the 4 main walls.
Yeah.
And that was to give space for a big rotating grinding pan. But in the 19th and 20th century, it was used as a store, and then later on as a vehicle garage. They chopped a big hole in the front wall to get the lorries in, put a vehicle inspection pit in. Fantastic. Whoa. Fantastic. If you've got a vehicle garage,
Sit.
you need somewhere to work on your vehicles from underneath.
Brilliant.
That'll do.
So it's literally a maintenance inspection pit.
Yep. Okay, lid back
Lorry
on
would
quick.
come in for its MOT,
Yeah,
Yeah.
park in there, and the mechanics would be underneath.
absolutely.
So I want to go up on this deck. Is that safe to go up or not?
Upstairs, on what remains of the first floor, you get a closer look at the mill's distinctive round windows.
The circular holes are quite common in the flint mills in this area, and they seem to have been provided for light and ventilation for the grinding pan area, so that you've got something to work with daylight, and you've got ventilation to keep the silica dust out of your lungs as best as possible.
Originally, the mill's wheel would have turned in the open air, but it was prone to freezing up in winter, so it was later enclosed in this lean-to extension.
If you look just behind you, that's the centre hub bearing there. You can imagine that's the middle of the water wheel. And according to the records, it was 22 feet high, so that's 11 up and 11 down. So this was full of water wheel. Water coming straight in over the top of there.
Is that wall collapsing?
Good spot, Mr.
Mr.
Clark.
Severe.
Good spot. There is some rotation at eaves level, yes, sir.
I mean, I know it looks pretty horrific to some people, but it is pretty horrific to
Yeah, it is. It is.
Alan and Dora have worked on the design of their new home themselves and got a local architect to draw up their scheme. The building faces south, and the main entrance hall will lead into a central hall where the wheel once stood. The new kitchen and dining area will be on the ground floor, and a new office and toilet in the new extension. On the first floor, there's a sitting room and utility room, and in the extension, a further bedroom and shower room. On the top floor within the roof space is their master bedroom suite, with access to a balcony that will overlook their garden.
The one bit I don't get,
Yes, okay.
I just don't get it, if you don't mind me saying.
No,
that's all.
please.
Is your dressing area and your shower room on the first floor next to the living room.
Well, that's
What's all
Alan.
that about?
I don't like that personally myself.
Yeah, it's my fault.
It's Alan's fault.
It's my fault.
I don't like that at all.
The reason why it doesn't work, I'll tell you what, there's
Go
two
on.
reasons.
Go on.
The main reason is that why would you have a dressing room and shower room next to your living area anyway, when you're actually going to physically use it, because I think there's a privacy issue. And secondly, where's south?
This way, we've got two windows here facing south.
Which way? That way?
Yeah, yeah, straight out the front
Which
here.
is lovely.
Yeah. Dudum.
And where you've got all that beautiful natural light and those
Yep.
beautiful windows,
Yep.
it's kind of being plugged by your dressing room and shower room.
Okay.
Do you know what it is? You've fallen into that trap, and everybody does it, is that when you've got a space which is beautiful, you know, you walk into it and you go, wow, this is amazing. There's a danger that once you start making it functional and practical, which I know you have to, because it's a home, you start to lose the architectural quality of what's there, because you start putting in too many rooms, too many boxes, too many walls, too many floors.
If Alan and Dora were looking for a challenge, they've certainly found one. And to add to everything else, they've got a major engineering problem on their hands. The mill was built into the side of the hill, and the weight of all that earth is threatening to push the building over. So the whole bank will need to be dug out.